Good morning. This is Time Out with Vic. Today we will be continuing our discussion of the coronavirus pandemic. Currently in Pennsylvania, there are 19,979 confirmed cases, with 1,325 confirmed cases within Luzerne County. Now, we are still under the stay-at-home order. We are still under a curfew from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. in the morning, which, to my opinion, the curfew is ridiculous because everything's closed by then anyway. So where is anybody going to go? Now, it was asked because they say you are allowed to go out and still get your exercise by going on a walk, going on a hike. Now, the Secretary of Health was asked yesterday during their briefing update that if someone wanted to go for a hike or a walk, can they drive to, for an example, a state park to go do that? Now, she was saying as long as they're being secluded, there's no, it's fine if they go on a hike or a walk, but the concern would be as you're going to the state park or going to the trail that you want to hike on or walk on or where have you, that you would have to stop for gas. You would have to stop to get something to eat on the way there or back. So the social distancing comes into factor. The possible contamination of, say, the gas pump when you're pumping the gas comes into question. So it's right there is their best bet thing is stay at home, stay safe. Really, in my opinion, they're saying no, you're not allowed to go out and drive to a trail, walk around or hike around your neighborhood as long as you're doing it secludedly. Which now, if everyone was in your neighborhood was into staying healthy and going for walks and hikes, who's to say you're going to be secluded, and who's to say everybody's not just going to go or be out at the time that you're going? So really, it's a double-bladed sword there. Now, the question I have, we're going to change it up a little bit. What is your opinion? Do you feel that the COVID-19 pandemic, being this is a worldwide issue, would be considered the beginning or an apocalypse? Now, my opinion, this is a form of an apocalypse in a way, even if it's a temporary thing, because an apocalypse is basically the end of the world as we know it. So currently, it has been the end of the world as we know it because we can't just go out and shop whenever or go buy whatever we want from the store. We can't just go out anytime we want, even, between 8 and 6 a.m. So yes, life as we know it has changed. So would this be rated as a sort of apocalypse? That is the question. Let me hear your thoughts on this subject. Now, my opinion, yes, I feel this is a kind of, maybe a little bit of an apocalypse. Not the apocalypse that everyone has been taught or has heard about or, has read about in the Bible or what have you. So, in a way, no, if you want to go by that definition, no, it is not an apocalypse. But being our life has changed as we know it, you can call it an apocalypse in a way. Do I have people that agree? Do I have people that disagree? Please let me know and what you feel and what you think. Now, I know a lot of people are going by Walking Dead definition of an apocalypse too, where, zombies walking around, people are, fighting off the Walking Dead and they're rising and what have you. That is not the case this time for this pandemic, obviously. But who's to say something down the line, a treatment down the line for this doesn't cause that? Or let's say it does cause it. How are people going to make it? That's the biggest thing. If we do hit the apocalypse and let's say technology drops, how are people going to handle that? To be honest, if you had to currently, right now, if it's not an apocalypse, if just technology failed, there was no more technology. We were back in like almost a stone age, but we were still able to get gas in our car and drive. Would you remember how to read a map? Would you know how to read a map? A paper map? Would you know how to look at an atlas? Would you... Do you even know what either of those look like? I feel a lot of mankind would perish because they would not know what to do. They would not know how to survive, especially without technology. I mean, a lot of people, that's what their whole life revolves around, is technology. Is, you're going somewhere, you get the... I remember, printing out directions to get from point A to point B, or somebody telling me directions and I wrote them down. But now it's like everybody uses, Google Maps or Waze or, some kind of GPS system on their phone or a tablet or what have you, or in their car. So if all of technology was to fail, let's say even cars at this point, I feel a lot of people would be screwed. I mean, nobody's going to remember how to get around without technology, or do a lot of the stuff that technology does for them, as reminders or what have you. They're going to start forgetting about some stuff because everything's on their phone, everything's on their tablet, everything's on their computer, stuff like that. You would have to walk around to get stuff, where a lot of people have become complacent with just driving everywhere, even down the street to a corner store. Like, I feel that for people to actually be able to survive an apocalypse, they're going to have to really get back to the way life was. Or don't be so... Don't rely on your technology as much as you do now. Rely more on yourself. It's great to use technology, if it's more convenient for you. But try to remember to, one day the apocalypse may happen. One day you may not have, or people may not have that technology to rely on. So what are you going to do? And now, don't get me wrong, I know there's preppers out there. And the preppers are, they're stocking up on weapons, fire, ammo, food. They have their bunkers to live in to last them X amount of time. And a lot of the food does last a while, though, especially the stuff with preservatives. But some of that does eventually, expire. So after everything's expired, all the food, what are you going to eat? You're going to have to revert to hunting animals. A lot of people can do that. A lot of people can't. What are you going to do? I mean, you have to, this should be a wake-up call, firstly, on the human race to somewhat change. I mean, there's a lot of... With this pandemic, there's some, say, racism happening, where some areas they're blaming... With the pandemic, the numbers rising, they blame a certain race rather than everyone in that area, community, for the numbers rising. It's not just a certain race, everyone. It is everyone. You don't want the numbers to keep going up with confirmed cases, then stay at home. If the government doesn't want the numbers to keep raising, then they need to turn around and they need to lock everything down for 2 weeks, let it pass, and then start reopening slowly. If it starts coming back, then there's more of an issue here. But at least you took that 2 weeks to let it ride and make sure nobody leaves, nobody goes to a store, make sure everybody has all their stuff that they need for the 2 weeks, and they just complete lockdown. If you are concerned with that kind of scenario, if you have a backyard or if you have a porch, you can still go sit in your backyard. You could still sit on your porch, read a book. Sure, a lot of people have Kindles. Read a book on the Kindle. Heck, you can find books for free probably to read online, like independent books. Read a book, listen to a podcast, Hint, hint. Read up on technology, or something that something that you enjoy. Read up on it to learn more about it if you want. See what's going on in the world other than the pandemic. Obviously, the pandemic right now is the biggest thing in the news. Unfortunately, if you look anything up, it probably is pretty much the only thing you're gonna find. Practically the only thing you're gonna find in the news. And with this pandemic, on that topic again, if you look, they turned around and they decided to, in Pennsylvania, keep schools closed till the end of the academic year. So school will not be opening for the rest of the year. In a way, okay, I'm sure some people would be like, oh, no school, yay. But what about the seniors? Now they're worried about their graduation. They're worried about their prom. Now, one area in PA, they decided they're going to do a graduation, but everybody's going to be in their car. They're going to get their diploma and then be in their car, and then they're going to have a movie set up because it's going to be in a drive-in, and play a movie for free for the graduating students and their families that are with them in the car. It's a great idea. Why don't all the schools do that for their seniors? Have a graduation from the car. You don't necessarily have to do the movies. You can just do the graduation in the car. People are having drive-by birthdays. Because, little kids are having their birthday. Nobody can go over to enjoy celebrate their birthday. So people are driving by, honking their horn, yelling happy birthday. They're after the kid is back inside, they're dropping off the gifts to them in their garage or on their doorstep. And then once they're done, obviously disinfect the boxes, even if you know the people, because you never know. And then they're bringing them in for the child to open up their gifts. That's a great idea. There is nothing wrong with that. I mean, you're still showing them that you're thinking about them. You're still, in a way, celebrating the birthday with the child. Even in this pandemic, people are notorious for being inventive, and really, you need to do that, especially in this time. You're cooped up in your house. I understand, you can't go nowhere. It sucks. Be inventive. Think of something to do. Like I said, read a book, listen to a podcast, study up on something. Heck, study up on something to advance your career, or something like that. Do online schooling or classes. You have to be inventive. You have to think of things to do so you have stuff to occupy yourself. Play video games if you enjoy video games. Teach yourself coding. There's plenty of stuff if you're interested in programming or learning more about it or coding. There's plenty of resources online for free that you can use to teach yourself how to program, how to code, how to write HTML if you're interested in doing websites. If you're interested in doing web design, there's plenty of resources on there to help teach you. Be inventive, occupy your time so you can get through these times. And let's stop blaming certain races for the numbers going up, and let's just look at each other and see who's going out. I mean, you got tons and tons of people currently that aren't working, that are out and about every single day. Because I could be on my way to work because I work in an essential job. And I could look at a parking lot of a store and see tons of cars there. The one weekend I had to run to get some supplies from the store, and I passed Lowe's and I looked at their parking lot, and you should have seen of all the cars there. I'm like, there's no way that is all employees. What are you doing at Lowe's every single day and it being packed the way it has been? because it has been packed. I had to go there for a job of mine to get something. It's ridiculous. Come on. Now, you have people going out for that. You have people going out every day to the store. I mean, there's no reason to go every single day to the store. If you are going out, listen to what they're telling you. Wear a mask. Disinfect a cart. Don't just grab a cart. Because the minute you grab it, just because you're disinfecting it right after you grab it, doesn't mean that you just think get that stuff on your hand. If somebody had the corona that touched that cart, doesn't mean that, you just got rid of that disease. That is on your hand at this point. Don't touch your face. Wear gloves when you go to the store. Heck, even if you just wear it enough to disinfect the cart and then take them off. Because obviously if you touch the cart with the gloves and then you disinfect the cart, you still have the virus on the gloves, and that's cross contamination anyway if you touch anything else. So, come on. Use gloves, use a mask, stay safe. Don't go out unless you have to. And because our hospitals, our medical staff in our areas are getting overwhelmed with cases. And just by going out and catching and not wearing a mask, not wearing gloves, not being safe, you're not helping with not getting the virus. You're trying to get the virus at that time, and you're going to overwhelm the hospitals and medical staff as it is. Currently, I feel, they're our line of defense when somebody gets it. And right now, they're overworked. All right, everyone. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. And we're back. I was discussing how people need to wear face masks and gloves when they go out to get supplies from the store, or if they have an essential job and they should be wearing it at their job. And the jobs should have made it that it's a requirement or a suggestion to wear the face masks and gloves. Now, people, if you're going to get supplies from the store, wear the gloves and face masks. Disinfect the cart that you're going to use. If you can, bring 2 sets of gloves. So you can disinfect the cart, and then you can wear them after you disinfect the cart and go shopping. Disinfecting the cart with the gloves and then using the same gloves to go shopping probably defeats the purpose. I'll be honest, I'm guilty of doing that once or twice, but if you can avoid it, try to avoid it. I know a lot of places you go get some supplies and like food if you need it for the week or what have you, or to last you a little while. So you don't go to the store. Some places they're out of the wipes. They don't have the hand sanitizer in the machine, so you can't really do anything about that. But if you have wipes, bring them with you. Wipe down the cart for yourself. Now, if you have a mask and you have gloves and you're going shopping and you're wearing these things and you take the mask off inside the store, it defeats the purpose of having the mask on to begin with. It doesn't work if you take the mask off. Don't take it off. Keep it on. Trust me, I know it gets hot. I know it gets hard to breathe in those masks, especially if you have the medical type mask. I know it does. Trust me. But don't take it off, because if you take it off, all you're doing is causing yourself to get contaminated. Say somebody coughed or sneezed in that vicinity at that, right before you got over there, and you don't know. The whole point of wearing a mask and glove is to protect you, protect the other people. Now, I know we're going to go off the subject of the pandemic. Kind of off the subject of the pandemic. I know it is Easter tomorrow. Happy Easter to the people that celebrate it. Now, I know it's not going to be the same as it used to. Not with the pandemic happening, with the stay-at-home orders, where you can't have more than 4 people in a gathering. It's not the same. It really isn't. And I know that this is the time, the holidays are like the time that people have with their family. Their family comes up, and you see you see each other on the holidays usually, and you can't really do that this year where they come over and they have a nice dinner and you talk and what have you. Utilize the technology we have. If you can't do it like in person, then what you need to do is utilize FaceTime. Have FaceTime so you can see everybody. Do Skype if you don't have an Apple product, or you don't have a tablet. Use Skype if you can. Or if you do have a tablet, use Skype on that if you rather Skype. But utilize the technology. This way you could still, in a way, virtually spend time with your family if you want. Don't take this and not celebrate Easter. I mean, you go to the store, if you go into the store for supplies, for food that you need to last or what have you. Sorry, that was my little puppy. Then utilize, or you'll look at the Easter aisles when you're at the store. You see it's just not the same. The Easter aisles are not empty like they usually are. The candy, the stuffed animals, the baskets, the aisles are full. It's like Easter. I know in a way you feel, and in a way it is, Easter was canceled, but it's not. You can stop it from being canceled. If you have children, paint eggs, hide the eggs. You don't have to go out to a egg hunt if that's what you do every year. Unfortunately, you can't do that now. But do your own egg hunt in your backyard, in your house. If in the backyard, if it's nice, obviously. You don't want kids looking for eggs and it's freezing out and you're worried about that. Do it in your house then. You can do Easter yourself, and like I said, you could spend time with your loved ones virtually if they can't come over. Don't cancel it for yourself, because there's no reason. It is sad when you go to the store and you see the Easter aisles are still full, nobody's buying anything because of, Easter's canceled, blah blah blah. No, it's canceled if you allow it to be canceled. You don't have to be physically there. You could see each other virtually. You could spend time, talk. Like I said, do an Easter egg hunt with your kids or grandchildren or what have you if they live with you. But these are my thoughts on the pandemic. This is my thoughts on Easter. Let me hear what your thoughts are. Let me hear what you did for Easter with your family or with your kids. I'll have it up on my next podcast. Make sure please subscribe to my podcast. You can listen to this on Apple Podcast, on Google Podcasts, on Spotify, on Podcast Addicts. Please subscribe, share it, like it, rate it. I'd appreciate it. And you know what? Let me hear from you about your thoughts on everything. I appreciate it. Have a good holiday and a good weekend. And remember, this is Time Out with Vic. So let's talk.